after this Mekhal, you see, and Yagyopavit, you see, which the investiture of the sacred thread. There's marriage, which was considered the greatest, most important life cycle ritual, because the householder is supposed to sustain the entire society and also to continue the family. So and Kashmiri Pandits have their own, you see, ways to celebrate. I mean, there's much different here. We have much difference from the Hindu way of performing a marriage. First of all, the most important thing, we have a Mehendi Raat or a Henna Day, Henna night. Then we have a Divagon. Divagon means coming of the gods, welcoming the gods. The gods are Ganesh and the seven goddesses, the seven Matrikas, the seven mother goddesses. They are welcomed on this day. So that's known as Devagaman. And on this day, a kheer is cooked, and kheer is placed in 7 different parts known as Divta Khir. And besides that, see, Divta Khir, there are Divta moon or a drawing with the Shat Chakra, with the Sri Chakra, not Sri Chakra as the basis, and Nanda, this what's it called? This tree of the celestial tree, you see, is painted on the eastern wall. And it is taken to be the Nandanvan, from where the gods come and will bless the the boy to be initiated. So this has many other sub rituals, sub ceremonies attached to it, but this was considered as one of the most important. So first is we have this Mehendi Raat, then you have Devgon, and then you have this particular ritual called Mekhal or Yagyopayan. But now it has become more of a social ritual, and it's more for after the guru, the officiating priest, the guru gives the staff. The staff must be without any branches. It must be with the bark and the staff, and it must be made of a particular kind of wood which is not available in Kashmir. So the Kashmiris use the this what do you call this? तुलको क्या कहते हैं? तुलको क्या कहते हैं?
Mulberry.
Mulberry tree. The mulberry, Hindus in Kashmir use the mulberry branch. So, and then he is supposed to go out for the round of bhiksha, round of alms, and the first to give the aunts are is the maternal aunt, and then they are after performing this. I won't go into the details of it, but after performing it, there's another ritual called Samavartan. Samavartan is a sort of a graduation. It is supposed that the son, the boy who was sent for studying with the guru, has returned from his education with the guru, and now, initially I may tell you, the stick or the staff is there to ward away animals, wild animals, to ward away thieves and robbers, because the boy is supposed to live with the guru and be educated under his instructions, under his guidance. So I was talking. So after this, after what was I talking about?
After Upaman. After Mekhla.
Then after Mekhla, I did this. So Mekhla is one of the most important, and without Mekhla you can't marry. Then you have marriage, and marriage again is supposed to be one of the most important. the most important, but here I may had a little, I want to say something more which I forget and must say, that all Hindus, Kashmiri Hindus, belong to the Kathak redaction, the Kathak Shakha of Krishna Yajurved, and follow the achar, follow the customs, follow the practice that are given in this particular text. And this, all these sanskars are, not all of them, but many other sanskars also are given in the Logaksha Muni's, you see, Kathak Samhita or Kathak Sutras, Logakshi Sutras, aphorisms of Logakshi. Aphorisms, these are known as Grihya Sutras or domestic sutras, domestic aphorisms for performing domestic rituals. So this is also one of the domestic rituals, but it is not mentioned in detail in the Logakshi Grihya Sutra. The Logakshi Grihya Sutra only mentions that he should accept the 3 vows that the Guru administers to the boy, which are very ordinary, that you shouldn't sleep during the day, you shouldn't take water, you should take water, you shouldn't sleep during the day, and you should accept the word of the Guru. These are, this is in all the Griha Sutras, not only this Logaksha Griha Sutras. So after this we have the marriage. The marriage again is the most important one, and it is also divided into many days, celebrated for many days, you see. And it also begins again with the Mehndi Raat, the Henna Raat, a night of rejoicing, when the bride and the bridegroom, both of them, they are, henna is applied to their hands, and much of singing and dancing is done. And dinner is also thrown open. Then comes again the same thing, Devagaman or Devagon. See, a boy and the girl to be married are, different kind of devagons are performed for them. The boy is made to sit on a square or a rectangular seat, and there are 5 young maidens, 5 Kumaris, 5 Sita and Draupadi and Mandodari and all 5 Panchakanyas, who are supposed to be the icons, the ideal maidens. So they are remembered, their name is evoked, and he is given a ritual bath. But for the lady, for the girl to be married, it's more important, because the earth, the air ornament known as Dijharu is given to her, and she is made to wear it on this day. Dijharu, I must tell you, is not mentioned in any of earlier Sanskrit texts, not even in the Nilmat Puran, not even in the this Logakshi, this Griha Sutra. It certainly is a later affair. It is an affair, and it has something to do with the spread of mother goddess cult in Kashmir, because the upper part of the Dejhor in Kashmiri means a pair. So Dejhor means a pair of ear ornaments, and it's tied to the golden hexagon sort of a formation ornament, you see, with the golden chain or a silken thread, called art. So, but the difference, it is not the same thing as this, what do you call this?
Mangal Sutra.
Mangal Sutra. It is not the same thing as Mangal Sutra, because a woman cannot wear the Mangal Sutra when her husband is not Hindu woman, when the husband is not there on the scene, when the husband passes away. But for the Kashmiri woman, she can wear the Dejhor even after the husband is not there, the husband has passed away. The Dejhor is basically a stylistic this Sri Chakra. It is a stylistic Sri Chakra and shows to the depth of reverence, depth of devotion that Kashmiri Hindus have for the great goddess, for Shakti. It is certainly an influence of the Shakta cult on Kashmiri that Kashmiri Hindu women are asked to wear the Dejhor. After the Dejhor, also, then there, there's the Bharat. And in the Bharat also, things are a little bit different. It's more sober, it's more serene. And when the bridegroom reaches the house of the bride, as is the case everywhere, he is made to stand on a circular drawing made of colored powders known as view. Actually, it represents the cosmos. He is supposed to be a manifestation of Shiva himself. And the bride is also asked to stand on it for some time with the hand. So that's how he is welcomed. But before he enters and before the Bharat, before the bridegroom's party enjoys his feast, the bridegroom is supposed to worship the entrance gate called Dwara Puja. This is essentially Kashmiri because Dwara Puja is supposed to be the threshold from he will and now enter into a new phase of life. So these deities of the gate have to be worshipped. The deities are dharma, adharma, there are so many deities, but they have to be worshipped and appeased, and then alone the bridegroom can enter the bride's house. So after this, and after standing on the view, and after the blowing of the conches to announce the arrival of the bridegroom, I'm just trying to cover it all. The marriage takes place. But even in the marriage, there are many sub-ceremonies which are totally different, but nonetheless, very important for the Kashmiri Hindus.
Dr. Saab, can we now, because this is such a huge subject that I will need 2 days to really make use of your scholarship. But I'm afraid we will have to.
सब शॉर्ट पड़ गया इसीलिए मैं भूल जाता हूँ कि मुझे
नहीं कोई बात नहीं
आता है इसको छोटा कैसे करूँ.
नहीं कोई बात नहीं है. आपने जितना बोला वो that is a treasure of knowledge, and I'm sure large number of people are going to benefit from your scholarship. Can you just finish it and then we proceed to next?
मैं सिर्फ mention करूँगा उनका नाम.
जी.
I'll mention only the ceremonies. So one of the ceremonies, for instance, is Gangavyas, the entry of a little girl embodying the Ganga river. Another is Laja Home, which is performed by Hindus elsewhere also, in which a boy or the brother of the bride, you see, puts some parched grains into the hands of the, or into the window, into the basket of the bride, and the basket, she pours them into the fire as oblation, wishing her husband a long life. So this is, and then the third one, another is third important one is that at the end of the yagna, at the end of the Vivah Yagna, the Saptapadi is finished, and after that, you see, they are supposed to sit for a Posha Puja. Posha Puja means the bride and the bridegroom are taken to be manifestations of Shiva and Parvati, and so the in-laws of the bridegroom, and are supposed to, and the other close relatives who are present, they are supposed to worship both them under the canopy of a red shawl or a red sari. This is known as Posha Puja, and this is peculiar to Kashmiri Hindus alone. There are many other, you see. For instance, we don't have this Jaymala. We have the Mananmal instead. The Mananmal means Mangalmala. The Mangal Mala means a garland that the bride's mother, the mother-in-law of the bridegroom, ties to the head of both the bride and the bridegroom. This is called as Mangala Mala in Sanskrit and Manan Mal in Kashmiri. And after this, the um, um, uncle, maternal uncle of the bridegroom is given his own dues. Is given nowadays a mithai, but earlier he was given a large piece of sugar candy known as nabad. So it was known as mama nabad. And then the so these are some of the important things. And besides that, both the bride and the bridegroom recite a hymn from the Rig Veda, which praises the goddess Saraswati and also Saraswati, the river. This seems to be that the Kashmiri Pandits are remembering, at least it's in their subconscious mind, they are remembering their migration from the basin of from the valley of the Saraswati river when they migrated from there to Kashmir. So this is perhaps as a memory. They say that about the mighty Saraswati river, which dried up much before the Rig Veda was even completed. So they say that just as the river distributes its sweet waters, just as a mother distributes wealth among her daughters. So this is also something that we find unique in Kashmiri Hindu marriage. And on return also, they have to stand on the vyug or the cosmic circle, which is drawn with women freehand. Nowadays they don't draw it. They use other people to prepare it. They have forgotten even this thing. And another thing, another ritual art was Krul Kharun. Krul Kharun means that creeper laden with flour was painted above the door, about the lintel of the door of the bride's and bridegroom's house, with sometimes very benedictory verses written on it. But that cruel Kharun is also, it was mostly done as by the paternal aunt. But now the paternal aunts and all paternal aunts have forgotten this, and a very crude drawing is made instead of that. So these are the what you call life cycle rituals which the Kashmiri Pandit household, Kashmiri Pandit society performs. Then there are other rituals. The other rituals are the puja rituals, in which the deity to be worshipped, and we have many, the deity to be worshipped is worshipped in several steps, usually known as upchars, shodasha upachar, 16 steps, 22 steps. So in certain steps, he's treated as a VIP. He is treated as a very important guest. And first, the water to wash his feet is given called padya. Then the water to rinse his mouth is given called achaman. Then he is given a bath. Then he is given a cloth to wear. He is also this thing given shown a fragrance is applied. He is also given a yagyopavit to wear, and the lamp is moved around him, or the aratrika or the arti. And all these things, these are actually 16 steps. The first very step being consecration of the lamp, consecration of the shank, consecration of the or everything with which the puja is performed. He is often offered flowers, he is offered scent, he is offered anjans. I mean, the deity I'm talking. And before everything, the deity is uh, as if life is infused in the deity, called prana pratishtha, because the deity happens to be made of a stone or any other thing. So the prana pratishtha or life is infused in the deity. He is evoked. You see, and all these things are consecrated. Then life is evoked. Some of the rituals that Kashmiri Pandits celebrate are have continued right from the time of Nilmat Puran. They're from a very hoary past. For instance, the ritual of celebrating the New Year or the Navre, or the ritual of the first snowfall, Nav Himpat Samaro Utsav, or these have continued from very early times. But new festivals have been added to it, to these things. And some of the festivals, you see, are peculiarly have a peculiar Kashmiri, distinctive Kashmiri Pandit flavor. You see. Now let us talk of the first very most important Kashmiri Pandit Navre or New Year's celebration. The New Year in Kashmiri Pandit Navre is actually derived, has descended from the Sanskrit Navavarsh. So what do we do in the Navavarsh is, on the Navre is first thing, that we have a plate of made of metal mostly, and in this plate are kept certain things, rice, walnuts, curd, sugar cone, salt, flowers, almonds, similar things. And earlier they would also keep a herb known as wai, which is not available now here, and which has been, the practice has been, is discontinued. So all these things were kept overnight in a thali, in a plate, and the first thing that the eldest woman, eldest lady of the house had to do is to show this thali to every member of the house when he wakes up. So this was an essential thing, and this very ritual was also performed when spring was heralded, when advent of spring was heralded, or Sont festival was celebrated by Kashmiri Hindus. The thali was filled with all these things, the rice and the curd, and also, I forgot one important thing, which is most important. One is the jantri, the almanac of the new year, and another thing is a pen and ink, because this shows the kind of mental makeup of the Kashmiri Pandits. The pen and ink were most important for them, and also the calculation of about the constellations, about the stars, about the constellations. So they would look at the jantari, and it was considered essential. So one or two things about the Navre, the celebration also. Actually, nowadays we have only the painting of a deity on the thali, but actually the murti, a sculpture, a metal sculpture of the five-faced Shiva, or a four-faced Brahma, was to be kept in the thali, and he was supposed to be worshipped on this day. And people were supposed to take fruit, and after fruit they were supposed to go to the houses of their neighbors and close relatives and offer them fruit. All these practices are now done away with. So after Navre, another, in fact, the greatest festival, I didn't refer to God Abata or this thing because it's not, I mean, people try to propitiate a yaksha or the kuber, the sort of a demigod, or we can call it yaksha, is appeased by offering him a food sacrifice. Tahari is offered, or khichdi rather is offered to him, and it is cooked and it is kept on the outer wall of the house on grass rings, and it is believed that the yaksha will come and partake of the khichdi, and then later the khichdi is partaken of as naivedya by other members of the family. But actually, this is only a memory of the days when yakshas would come from the, as a clan, would come from the upper part, upper mountains and come down to the valley, and they had somehow to be appeased. So this is for appeasement of the yakshas. So this still continues to some extent. But the main and the most important, we still perform we have no time, we can't perform the new hymn paths, the Navashid festival, the first snow festival of the first snowfall, because we are living in a different area now. But Shivaratri was also celebrated, very, in fact, it is the most important festival of Kashmiri Hindus. But again, it is celebrated in quite a different way. Now, this is the question you asked me. Why is it celebrated one day early? Because the Shivaratri or the Herat is actually a distortion of Hararatri. Hara is another name of Shiva. So Herat is a distortion of Hararatri. So what happens is, on this thing, when we celebrate Herat, we do not celebrate the marriage of Shiva and Parvati. It is not the marriage of Shiva and Parvati as in other parts of the India, of the country, as other Hindus do. But it is a Tantric Utsav. It is a Tantric Utsav and it's Bhaira Utsav, and it's called a Bhaira Utsav. It is celebrated because on this day, on the dusk of this thing, of the evening dusk, you see, what happened was suddenly Lord Shiva as Swachandanath. Swachandanath was worshipped in Kashmir after the 6th, 7th century. So this thing perhaps is also continues after the 6th or 7th century. Earlier in this Nilmat Puran, they have shown that Shivratri is celebrated on the 14th or Chaturdashi itself. But here, now we celebrate it on Trayodashi. Why so? Because on this day, the five-faced Swachandana Shiva, five-faced and 15-eyed and 20-armed Swachanda Bhairav, a manifestation of Shiva, which was worshipped in Shiva in Kashmir, but its worship is now worshipped in South only. It's certainly a tantric worship. It's basically a tantric festival. So he was worshipped, and he suddenly appeared as a column of fire at the place where his consort, the great goddess, was in the Himalayas. So he went there and tried to meet her there, and her yoginis whom she was entertaining were scared. They were scared and they ran away. When they ran away, Shakti, or the great goddess, looked into a pitcher full of water, and from the pitcher full of water emerged a deity known as Batuknath. Batuk means a boy, small boy. Batuknath with all his weaponry. See, he emerged. So actually, Vatuk Bhairav is worshipped all over India. But this is a different story. He emerged from that uh, pitcher full of water. And he was sent to confront the Bhairav, the Swachanda Bhairav. But he was no match for Swachanda Bhairav. And he just couldn't confront him in any way. So he came back the story is very important. He came back and then she again had looked into, cast her looks into another pitcher, full of water. And from this another Bhairav emerged, known as Rama or Raman Bhairav. Again with all the weaponry. Now both the Bhairavs went and tried to intimidate Swachanda Bhairav, Shiva as Swachandra Bhairav. But again, see, uh, suddenly they also sent their gun, their attendants. But suddenly Shiva disappeared and later appeared as a blazing column of fire. See, as a Jwala Ling. He appeared as a Jwala Ling at the time of dusk, you see, of the day between Trayodasi and Chaturdashi. Since he appeared at the time of dusk and was pacified after dusk, see, they all went later on when they all failed to intimidate him. The goddess went to him and the goddess merged into the Jwalaling. Everybody merged in the Jwalaling and to remember, and then the goddess promised this Vatuk Bhairav that he will also be worshipped on this day, will be remembered. And she promised the Vatuk Bhairav that he will also be worshipped on this day. She also promised Raman or Ram Bhairav that he will also be worshipped on this day, but after Vatuk Bhairav is worshipped. So they all merged into the ling, and the ling was the column of fire, the Jwala ling was finally pacified in the after midnight. So now what Kashmiri Pandits say, since the appearance of the Jwalaling took place before 14th, before Chaturdashi. He was pacified on the Chaturdashi day, but his appearance took place on the Trayodashi day itself. So they celebrate Shivaratri on Trayodashi instead of Chaturdashi. On the Chaturdashi, the column of this Jwalaling was pacified and all of them, you see, united and became one. As Shiva and Shakti united as Prakash and Vimarsh. That's why Kashmiri Shaivites call it Prakash Parva, but others call it Bhairav Utsav because Bhairavs are involved. Vatuk Bhairav and Ram Bhairav were involved. But actually, in this another text we see, we have another story. We have a story that's given in the Shiva Puran. The story given is that Brahma and Vishnu both failed to fathom the height of a Shivalinga that suddenly appeared before him. And a Ketaki flower was falling and they could not understand where the Ketaki flower is going and from where it is coming. So they finally prostrated before Shiva and accepted his supremacy. This is a story in the Shiva Purana, but this is not a story this is not the story behind the celebration of Kashmiri Shivaratri. Kashmiri Pandits have celebrated essentially as a Bhaira Utsav. That is why. And there's again many things are different. Shiva is worshipped and his attendants, his guns. The Vatuk Bhairav is represented by a pitcher of water full of water here, a pitcher full of water here also, and walnuts are kept in that water because he appeared from a pitcher of water. So Vatuknath is worshipped in the form of a pitcher of water filled with walnuts. But Shiva is and his guns and the deities of the quarters, Kshetreshas, and they are all worshipped in their aniconic form of made of clay, made of baked clay. They are made of all. The Shiva is worshipped as Sanyapatul. Sanyapatul. Why Sanyapatul? Because Sanya means to bathe with water, to bathe with Abhishek. So Shiva's Abhishek is done with water. So his name is a Patul, means a Putuli. Putuli means a kind of this Murti. So she was a Sanapatul is actually the form, the Shivalinga form, in the Shivalinga form, which is bathed with water and placed on a Bhadrapeet. Others are also made of baked clay vessels of different sizes and different shapes. That's why this one does not know since when this is continued, because they are aniconic. Before the wheel was even formed, because they are all these baked clay vessels which are worshipped as Shiva and his consort and Ganesh and his attendants and his Kshetreshas are all made of baked clay, but not on the wheel, but by hand. And the strange thing is that it was a Muslim potter who would do it for Kashmiri Hindus. So we don't. It is obviously a thing that seems to be a continuation of a very old ritual, but the worship of Vatukanath and other Bhairavs, the Bhairav also seems to be a festival that was celebrated after worship of Swachanda Bhairav was flourished in Kashmir. From Kashmir, the worship of Swachanda Bhairav went to south. He is still worshipped by the people, the Tantra Agamic worshippers, Shaivagama worshippers, Shaivagama followers of the south, but not in Kashmir. But in Kashmir, this is the last remnant of worship of Swachanda Bhairav. And that is why in the evening of the 13th itself, a yag, a Bhairav yag means a fire sacrifice, is performed. And the performer of the worship and does not take anything, keeps a fast till that yag is over. And what more I want to say is that actually it's a mixture. The mantras that are recited on this and the deities who are worshipped on this are not Shiva and his attendants or Vatuk Bhairav alone. They are they are known as Shivratri Devata Gana. Even Shivratri is worshipped as a deity. So I told you why Kashmiri Hindus celebrate this festival one day earlier, and then they distribute the walnuts that are kept in the pitcher representing Vatuk Bhairav, which is known as Vatuk Bharun. Vatuk Bharun. So in the case of Janmashtami, it's a different thing. It is supposed that Krishna was born exactly at midnight. So why not on this side of midnight? Why on that other side of the midnight? So on the preceding side of midnight, which Kashmiri Pandits celebrate Krishna Janmashtami and called it Satam. Don't call it Ashtami. They call it Janma Satam or Janma Saptami. They don't call it Ashtami because Krishna was born at midnight. And midnight, you see, mean on both sides of the midnight. The previous day, it's a midnight, it's a night that divides 2 days. The previous one and the following one. So they celebrated on the previous day.
Okay, sir, Dr. Saab, first of all, I think this has been I would have continued and continued with you because there is so much to learn from you. There is so much messaging that you have to give to the whole world, not just to Kashmiri Pandit Society, and there are so many more things that you would have loved to speak and we could have partaken of your knowledge. Unfortunately, there is a restriction of time. So we have conducted this interview over a period of time, and hopefully we should be able to produce the best of what you have said, and perhaps we'll get chance in future also, because there are so many issues which we have not covered. So
Actually,
hopefully we should be able to cover that.
The canvas was too wide. Too wide, far too wide.
Yes, it is too wide a subject.
Even one subject, you see, even one aspect of it can take more than 1 hour.
Yes.
And should take more than 1 hour.
Yes. Now, you will recall that when we started this process of interviewing, I had told you what Sampark Bharti is doing, that it is trying to get all the Sanatanis the world over on one platform where we can be of help to each other in all kinds of fields, whether it is social work, whether it is judicial work, whether it is medical, whether it is helping each other, whether it is an industry, whether it is finding good careers, so helping people getting good professional guidance. So Sampark Bharti is just that, and we are trying to connect all the Sanatanis in the world. And as I had said, it is already spread over 50 locations in the world. I would request you to kindly give a message for Sampark Bharti now at the end of this, before we conclude.
See, all I want to tell them is consider Kashmiri Pandits to be an essential constituent, essential part of the Sanatan brotherhood. They have been followers of this belief system even before many in India. I want to tell them that we are as much a part of Indic civilization and Sanatan Dharma as other Hindus of the country. So we are not any different from them, and they should consider that our belief system and their belief system, we are not any unique people. We are one of them. We are a part of the vast ocean known as Hinduism.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Saab, I can tell you that I can't thank you enough really for having spared so much of time to speak to us on a subject of which you are a master, and everyone knows about it. I wish we had more time, but we will meet again. Thank you very much, sir. Thanks a lot.